Okay, hello, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to today's Planning Commission meeting. It's August 11th. And so at any rate, we'll start with the flag salute. So if you'll join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we'll do a roll call.
Commissioner Powers.
Here.
Commissioner Hauge.
Here.
Commissioner Johnson.
Here.
Commissioner Woodward.
Here.
Commissioner DeMattei.
Here.
Commissioner Dahlgren.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well, let me start by again welcoming everybody to today's Planning Commission meeting, which is open to in-person attendance and may also be observed online through the Placer County website. In an effort to encourage the public to engage in the process, our public comment for this meeting will be offered in person through a remote virtual process. Citizens who wish to comment virtually today should be prepared to comment via the Zoom platform. To join online, click on the link on the Planning Commission homepage. Please make sure your microphone is muted. You may also call in using our toll-free numbers to hear the meeting at 888-788-0099 or 877-853-5247. And please enter the Winnebar number 867-0178-0855. Please press *6 to mute yourself. If you would like to make a public comment virtually, please raise your hand with the hand icon at the bottom of the page. If you are calling in, please press *9 to raise your hand. Please be prepared to speak at the time I open the public comment for the specific item you would like to address, which may include public comment for matters not included on the agenda, a consent item, or a timed item. If attending in person today, we kindly request that once you have commented on your item, please return to your seat or leave the hearing room from the exit door, which we just have one door, to accommodate your physical distancing and allow for others to provide in-person public comment. Each commenter is entitled to 3 minutes of comment time. Thank you for your patience as we work to preserve the safety and health of all meeting participants and ensure that each citizen who wishes to comment has the opportunity to do so. Let me see, as chairman, I ask for, at this time, for the planning director's report.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the Commission. E.J. Evaldi with the Planning Services Division. Earlier this week, we sent you a flyer from the California County Planning Commissioners Association, and they are holding their 91st conference on October 14th and 15th in Pleasanton. They're going to be having sessions on agriculture, water, CEQA, housing, and then aggregate mining and production. They're also doing some tours of an aggregate plant down in the Bay Area. There's also a tour of the Alameda County Fairgrounds, the Alameda Creek Watershed Center, and then they're also going to do a tour of an operating winery in the Livermore area. So if anybody's interested in attending, I know some have already contacted us about that. Let us know, hopefully by the end of this week, and we'll try to facilitate that. On Tuesday, the Board of Supervisors considered the Bayside Fields appeal. This was about a 5-hour hearing, and there were over 35 public commenters, so very well attended. The Board of Supervisors upheld the appeal and approved the conditional use permit modification as recommended by the Planning Commission with some modified and added conditions. They approved field lighting for the playfields, required the lights to be shut off no later than 9 p.m. 7 days a week. Your commission had recommended 10 p.m. on Fridays and Saturdays, so just a slight adjustment there. There was a motion, but not a majority vote, to preserve the blue oak tree. So a mitigation fee into the county's tree mitigation fund will be required for that impact when that happens. And then there was an added condition that required signs with contact information for Bayside representatives and county code compliance be posted on the property. Those are all the changes. I think I caught those all, Clayton. Any questions on that? Okay, thank you. And then, like I previously mentioned at our past meetings, we do have some appeals going to the board August 23rd. Excuse me, 3M Event Center, and then the Sorens variance appeal to finalize that action. And then September, at a September meeting, we're going to have the Buck Salvage parcel map modification appeal go to the board. Our next planning commission meeting that was scheduled for August 25th, we're going to cancel that meeting. So please put that on your calendar. So we will be returning on September 8th for the next planning commission meeting. And then we are still scheduled to be up in Tahoe for September 22nd. And that concludes my report.
Okay, well, thank you.
Can I ask one question? EJ, at the last planning commission meeting, we had a extensive discussion about a mixed-use multifamily and streamlining process, right? So you may recall that Patrick was the briefer. And we had a little bit of a discussion about whether the design standards for mixed-use multifamily apply to issues associated with like renovation and things of that nature. For example, this building was a 1979 vintage building. So, and his answer was that they do not, essentially, and that he considered this to be a gap in the actual process that we have in place right now for streamlining these types of things. I just ask that you take a look at that with your team and talk with Patrick further about it. And if you need to, you can review minutes 21 to 24 where we had that conversation in the last video. And you know, maybe we can communicate further about what you might do to approach that issue in the future.
Okay, are you asking for that to be brought back to the commission or
No, I mean,
brought back
well, I don't know. I mean,
or a
you guys,
response?
you need to make that decision, I suppose. What I'm curious about is right now it's a problem. I mean, your senior planner indicated it was a problem. It's clearly a problem. So whatever is the appropriate action, I don't know. I'm not a planner, you are. So if you can just help us figure out what we should do with that, I would appreciate it.
Okay, we'll do. And we might circle back with you just to talk about that in more detail, just so I make sure I know exactly
Okay.
what you're referencing. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, at this time, I'll go ahead and open the meeting up to public comment for any item that's not on the agenda. Is there anybody in the audience that has a comment that's not on the agenda? Anybody online? No? Okay, well, we'll close that part of the meeting and move on to our consent agenda. And so, has anybody have any comments on the, well, let me see. First of all, anybody want to pull the consent agenda off in the audience? Amongst the commissioners? Online? Okay, so this time we can entertain a motion or whatever.
I'll move to approve the consent item. I'll second.
Okay, roll call.
I have a first from Commissioner Hauge and a second from Commissioner DiMattei. Commissioner Powers,
Abstain.
Commissioner Hauge,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes?
Commissioner Woodward,
Yes.
Commissioner DiMattei,
Yes.
Commissioner Dahlgren.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, well, that clears that up, and so now we'll move on to our first timed item, which is the Gateway Village Master Plan. And Bennett Smithart is going to make the presentation on this.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bennett Smithart with the Planning Services Division. The next item today is the Gateway Village Master Plan. This is a rezone tentative subdivision map and conditional use permit. So this project is located not too far from us today. It's just over to the east of us, right behind the Rock Creek Shopping Center. As you can see up here, we have Bell Road, Highway 49. This is undeveloped parcel next to some existing apartment complexes. It is just under 3 acres, 2.94 acres. As you can see, this is an aerial of the project site. And in the middle, just to point this out for you, they are stockpiling soil out there, and they did get a grading permit prior to that, so they got all the proper permissions, just to give you a good idea of how the project stands today prior to development. And there's some on the north and the east sides, there's some existing oak woodland. This project is within the Auburn-Bowman Community Plan and is designated commercial. So commercial land use is adjacent to the west, north, and south, and to the east is high-density residential. Next is the zoning. So this project, or this parcel, is zoned commercial plan development, combining design scenic corridor, combining airport overflight zone. And again, to the west, north, and south has the same zoning, and to the east is residential multifamily. So here's a bit of a zoom in to the vicinity map. You can see some of the apartments and some of the commercial development nearby. To the south, we have the Gateway Commons. This is a subdivision that came to you a couple of years ago. They just recently started construction on that. So construction is full steam ahead. To the east, you see the apartments over there. To the north, Rock Creek. Then there's some undeveloped parcels adjacent to the west and the southwest. So here's some photographs of the site. As you can see, the soil stockpile is very prominent on site. It does have some habitat, but it's urban habitat, very fragmented on there. So to the west is Plaza Way, then to the left of this photograph, Plaza Way, then Gateway is to the right, and the Gateway leads to the adjacent apartments. So this is the project here. The project proposes 27 residential lots from about 2,700 feet to about 4,000. There will be one open space parcel and one parcel with the road on it, and the road will be maintained by the HOA. So I wanted to overlay the subdivision on the aerial just to see the physical impacts of this development. As you can see, it's mainly grassland and the disturbed area where the stockpile is, but you can see the amount of trees that will be removed with the project. So the requested entitlements is a rezone from the commercial plan development combining design scenic corridor and airport overflight to the same district, but adding the town center commercial. And next is a tentative subdivision map to divide the 2.9 acre site into 24 residential units. And a conditional use permit to allow for a master plan detached single-family residential project within the CPD zone. So going a little detail about the town center, the combining district. So that allows for a variety of housing types along commercial uses. So basically with this district, you would need to have a approval of a conditional use permit as well, and the development standards for the site are established through that conditional use permit. So with the TC combining district, detached single-family dwellings would be allowed on this parcel. Let's go into some of these under the CUP. As I mentioned, some of the development standards are here. So the front setback, and these setbacks as defined in the conditions of approval are from the curb or from the edge of the sidewalk if it doesn't have a sidewalk in front of these properties. So it's a little more restrictive than just the property line. So 10 feet to the entrance to the home, 20 feet to the garage. Rear setback is 3 feet Side setback is 3 feet as well, and a lot coverage of 50%. Here are some of the house plans. This is one of the smaller ones, 2 bedrooms, about 1,000 square feet. These have a 2-car garage. The architecture style will match the Gateway Commons project as well, with the stucco and the stone columns. Next is the 3-bedroom, almost 1,600 square feet with a 2-car garage, and this one is 2-story. A couple more, we have the 1,000 square foot 2-bedroom with a 1-car garage, and about a 1,300 square foot 3-bedroom with a 2-car garage. And they all have the same different colors, but the scheme all is similar with the stucco and the stone columns. The project along the frontage also proposes landscape, they have shrubs, trees, and ground covers. All will have to be compliant with our water efficient landscape ordinance. So this is a rendering of the project site. As you can see, some of the houses and the fencing, kind of the details here. They'll have an entry feature, as you can see on the entrance road here. It says Gateway Village, so they'll have an entrance with the landscaping up front for a good curbside appeal. And that photograph did have some fencing, but going into a little more detail with the fencing. On the south side of the site, we'll have as you can see on the top left, the W1 call out there, which will have the redwood fence with stone columns and the entranceway where we'll have the sign. To the west, along the frontage of Plaza, we'll have the enhanced redwood fences with the cap on top. Down to the north and to the east side, and within the individual homes, we'll have redwood fencing. There is an existing fence along the property line to the east. So this is some of the habitat here that we analyzed in the MND. We have woodlands, grasslands, and we also have some kind of urbanized disturbed area where the existing stockpile is. Okay, so we did analyze the traffic with this project. The residential development is allowed in the zoning district, and the land use and trip generation is expected to be consistent with that zoning. The project is proposed to have about 255 daily trips. We did do a VMT analysis under CEQA, and since the type of project, market rate affordable housing, and it's also in a low VMT generating area, it would be screened out for VMT because of the low VMT. In terms of low VMT, due to its location, there's a lot of amenities nearby. We have grocery stores, restaurants, all which can be walked to. So we did go on the walk score. So this is basically a website you can go on, type in your address, and it kind of rates the parcel's location based on proximity to transit and destinations. So we got a score of 58, so it's somewhat walkable. So some places will be walkable. You know, we have where the old Kmart building is, we'll have, a grocery store there, and, Harbor Freight and Old Navy. So we have some more destinations coming in that, this may have not considered because they're under construction now, but it is walkable. There's a sidewalk right in front of the project, so folks can walk and avoid vehicle trips. So some additional information of what this score is based on. So there's dining, shopping, and groceries nearby. So this went to the MAC as an action item on June 14th. Some of the items that were raised from the MAC were the affordability of the units and the type of deed restrictions. As I said at the MAC, these won't be deed restricted, they'll just be affordable by design. So the MAC recommended approval, 5 to 1 to 1. So therefore, go to the recommendation. The staff did prepare an errata to set our 8 conditions of approval, and those, you should have that information in front of you. So our recommendation is to adopt the mitigated negative declaration and mitigation monitoring program prepared for the project. Second, approve a rezone to add the town center combining district to the site, and approve the subdivision map, which will allow for a subdivision of a 2.94 acres into a 27 lot residential development, and approve the conditional use permit for a detached single-family residential development within the town center combining district. This is subject to the findings and conditions of approval in the staff report in the errata. I am available for any questions.
Question, Bennett. On Lot A, which is gonna be open space, I guess?
Yes.
Said drainage canals are gonna be there? Are they gonna be cutaway drainages, or is it just gonna be drainage for that property?
Let me,
Go back to page 19
let's
or
see.
28, either of those maps up on the top corners.
Let's go back to one. It shows it a little. Yeah, that should be a
There.
good one. So there is, if Phil wants to jump in on any drainage, I can kind of have a general overview. We do have a drainage facility over here, and we'll have drainage throughout the site. Did you want to say anything else about that, Phil? Do you have a mic? Yes, yep.
Hot button.
Yeah.
Phil Franz from Engineering and Surveying. So the drainage on the site is all collected, and as Bennett mentioned, there's a basin here, a water quality basin here, and in this corner. So all the site runoff will enter those 2 basins, which will then enter the drainage system that's in Plaza Way.
Okay. That was my only question. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Just curious, Bennett, what are the price range they're looking at selling these for? Just
So I did discuss that with the applicant. I think with the, construction logistics right now, they just don't have a firm price, but I think the intention of the project is as low as possible, just to be an attainable housing project. So it's something they're working on, but with ever-changing construction costs, I don't think they have a firm number.
And then another question, I guess, for you or for EJ's. I believe this is going to be a recommendation to the board because we're looking at modifying the zoning code.
That is correct.
Okay.
One more question on the drainage. Who's gonna maintain that?
The homeowners association.
Okay, thanks.
Bennett, just a quick question, really more education than anything else for me. Gateway Court is a private road,
Yeah.
right? So what I'm curious about is, and there was a recommendation in one of the letters that came in that said, that the county should probably take this road over with this project. So I'm just curious about how that works when you have this private road and a new development going in here. Are there any rules that apply from a county perspective? Is there any point at which we might consider taking that over? How does that work?
All right, Phil Franz again with Engineering and Surveying. So the current road is a public road, but privately maintained. So there's a public easement over it, but we don't maintain, the county does not maintain the road. If the property owners that have all along Gateway Court, if they are interested in making this a county-maintained road, they would get together and approach the county and ask to do this. They may be required to bring the road up to the county standards, and then the county would take over maintenance of it. We are not opposed to doing that. We would certainly consider that if all the property owners were interested in doing that. They, of course, would be required, like I said, to perhaps bring up the road to the county standard, and then they would all have to agree to being assessed fees to pay for the maintenance of the road. So it's, if it's something that the property owners want to do, we certainly are open to considering that.
Okay, well, thank you. Let me see, we'll invite the applicant up now, or the applicant's representative.
Well, good morning, Commissioners, Mr. Chairman. My name is Larry Farina, and I represent Mr. Jan Haldeman, who is the owner and developer of this project before you. And I want to thank you in advance for the time that you're going to spend on this project. And I also want to thank county staff. We actually worked through yesterday afternoon hammering out some of the details on this project. So it's been a long time coming, and I think we've made some great progress. Before I go into what I was going to say, I would like to just address Mr. Woodward's question about the road. Part of the condition of this project is that we will be improving, which means removing and completely reconstructing half of the road, the entire length of Gateway Court, our property. We had to do that with the Gateway Commons project I'll mention later across the street. So these developments are improving this road to a county standard. At some point, if the other property owners choose to develop and improve their portions of the road, then we could talk to the county about taking it over. The letter you received was actually from the one property owner that is not developing his property. And he, I believe, is hoping that we would have to rebuild the road for him. He gets to do that when he develops. We'll do our part. So to address that, I just wanted to be clear. So Bennett's done a great job of explaining to you all the entitlements, all the things that we're asking for, and I thought I would give you a little history on why we are here, why this project in this location, and why we are going through the process, and it's quite a lengthy process, to get a rezone and general plan amendment for this seemingly insignificant little housing project. This project was conceived and born out of a need that has been expressed by the Board of Supervisors and CEDRA staff for some time now. The need is for attainable priced workforce / first-time buyer housing, which doesn't seem to exist in Auburn. Well, unfortunately, while the need has existed for many years, there's been little progress in alleviating the situation. There have been a few government-subsidized rental developments in the Auburn-Bowman area, but to my knowledge, no one has ever attempted to develop for sale attainable priced housing to meet this need, let alone privately funded attainable priced housing. So why this project at this location at this time? Simply put, the owner of this project felt it was time that someone tried to fill this need. My client, Mr. Haldeman, has been a part of the Auburn community for around 45 years. I've had the privilege of working with him for over half that time. He's developed numerous subdivisions and developments, from 8-lot subdivisions to subdivisions with over 150 lots. He's developed numerous small and large commercial sites in this community. And he has built several residential rental-based units. He continues to build custom homes and continues to develop, and he has built custom homes in subdivisions, on private property, and in high-scale developments such as the Winchester development. My client is much more, though, than a successful builder and developer in the community. His character credentials, in my opinion, run very deep. He is a Navy SEAL combat veteran, Purple Heart recipient from his time he served his country in Vietnam. Several years ago, he personally led the charge to start a homeless shelter, which now exists on the DeWitt Center. He acquired the building from the county, he remodeled that building from the county, and he gathered together people and financing to support and run that operation for several years. It's now under the direction of the Gathering Inn. He has stepped back from that. He's also has been very involved in operations such as the Salvation Army Red Kettle, coordinating the Red Kettle collections and collecting toys and things for the people that Salvation Army addresses, people who have needs that some of us don't. Mr. Haldeman has a pattern of giving back to his country and his community, and that's why he's doing this project. The project before you is the second one he's developing to meet this attainable housing need. We talked about the Gateway Commons project, which is this parcel right here. That project is going to be 9 duplex units that will be sold as half-plexes. There are 2-bedroom, 2-bath units. 4 of them, which is 8 actually, of the dwelling units will have ADU options, 600 square foot studio apartments underneath them. Here again, the objective when we started this and got approval for this back in April of 2020 was to sell these units for somewhere between $350,000 to $375,000. At the time, that was a great price. Nothing could be touched in North Auburn like it. Given everything that's happened since then, we still don't honestly have a good fix on what we're going to sell them for now, because prices in 2022 2021, excuse me, went crazy. We are seeing things come down now. We're hoping that as we develop these properties that the prices will come down, and the objective, no matter what, is to sell these houses as economically as possible. This small commercial zone piece of property is really an ideal property for this type of development. It's a small infill area. This is developed with commercial. All of this around it is developed with commercial. And the reality is that while those developments took place back in the late 70s and early 80s, nobody has wanted to develop this property as commercial. It's not a great commercial location. But from a residential perspective, the opportunity here is almost overwhelming. Bennett talked about a walkability score. I don't know how they do that score, but let me fill you in. This project is within walking distance of this very government center. There are 3 major shopping centers. There's doctor's offices, dentist's offices, a hospital, an urgent care center, 2 elementary schools, many restaurants, and other services that are all within walking distance of this, as well as a Placer Transit bus stop right here. Theoretically, you could live in this place and never own a car. There's enough services and actually employment opportunities even, and with the public transit, if you needed to commute to Sacramento, you could do that. So we look at this as a win-win. The plan is to construct 27 homes. 13 of those are single-story, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, ranging from 1,000 to 1,100 square feet. There will be 5 single-story, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, around 1,200 square feet, and 9 of the 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-story homes at about 1,500 square feet. As you saw the pictures, these houses are going to be beautiful craftsman-style homes that anyone can take pride in owning. They are not large homes. They are starter homes. That's the idea. These homes will give people an opportunity to own a home, to build equity in a home for their own future. That's what we're trying to achieve. We believe that what we have is a win-win for this community and the future of North Auburn. We're asking for your agreement in this endeavor, that you pass on a solid recommendation to the Board of Supervisors to allow this rezone and general plan amendment. And hopefully, if all this happens expeditiously, by this time next year, we will be breaking ground on this project and building these homes. Again, I thank you for your time, and I'm willing to answer any questions you may have.
Go ahead.
Thanks, so that was great. Is there anywhere in the HOA that says that these can't be rentals and can't be bought up by people with more money and rent them out to people who can't then afford it if the price is gouged up in this crazy market where people are bidding on houses?
Unfortunately, there is nothing that we can do. As far as the HOA or the CC&Rs are concerned, we have nothing in place. What I can tell you is, just as brief a history as I can give you, the Gateway Commons project and this project involved the upgrading of a massive portion of sewer line in this shopping center. That was it's going to be an over $400,000 endeavor to upgrade that sewer line. It postponed our project for about a year as we hammered out details with the county on how that was going to happen, because the county owns the sewer line, and yet they were going to require us to spend money to upgrade it, and eventually someday we would get paid back. Through the arrangements, the county came up with some grant money to fund their own sewer line repair. We contribute to that. Every development, every house that is built in North Auburn contributes to that. Through that arrangement to acquire the grant money, we came to an agreement with the county that the Gateway Commons project would have certain restrictions on its sales. And that is that we have a certain time period that those sales have to be offered to a certain income level of people. We're working closely with Shauna Purvines, and she has a list of those people. If those people decline, then the houses can be on the open market. Another restriction is that that during that limited time, we have to offer them exclusively to people who work in Placer County. So those restrictions we've agreed to on the other project. We are hoping that this is successful in working with Shauna, and that we see the sales of these houses go to the people that we're looking to do. In this project, we have no such restrictions. We would prefer not to have. These are market sale houses. But we have no, how do I want to put this? We are perfectly willing to, and hopefully if the partnership with Shauna and the county works out well, to use that same sales method on these houses. Honestly, the objective is that we sell them to people that are going to live in them and build that equity. We can't say that someone else can't buy them, but we're hoping that that's not the case. And so now that we understand that there is a pool of people waiting for this type of housing, and through that pool of people, the county has helped them to qualify for the loans for these things, this is what we're hoping to do, is work with Shauna, utilize that pool. It helps with our sales to move them quickly. It helps to gain access for these people to housing. But this is all, essentially, this is us doing what we are trying to do for this community. We prefer, honestly, that Mr. Haldeman's efforts are blessed with someone that says, thank you very much, without putting restrictions that says you have to do this. Obviously, if this market changes, and it could, who knows what this economy is going to do, a lot of things can change. We don't necessarily want to be restricted to the point where we can't even build the houses because we can't sell them. So I hope that long explanation to your short question.
No, it does. Obviously, I was just wondering because obviously, from what I hear now from people is like, you know, we put a bid on a house, we can't afford it. We get outbid by somebody else. So just trying to help protect those people because this is a project is meant for those people.
We are seeing the real estate market soften in that regard. Now, obviously, the price point of these houses is going to be very attractive to a lot of people, especially investors.
Right.
You know, but we are seeing a softening in that market. That houses, in fact, I just statistically last month, 48% of the houses in the Sacramento region all had to lower their price to sell them. That 3 months ago was not the case. 3 months ago, they were all selling for more than asking price. So we're seeing that soften. How that's going to play out when these houses go for sale, I don't have that crystal ball.
Right. But I have seen HOAs that have restrictions on rentals, like you can't have a rental in certain subdivisions. Is that something that would be a possibility to help maybe keep those investors away from these kind of types of properties and still open a door for the people who can afford them?
That would unfortunately greatly limit the sales potential in the event that we couldn't attract the buyers we're looking for. I don't think Mr. Haldeman would really appreciate that. You know, here we're trying to build something and then we can't sell it to the market we're looking for, but the people that have money can't buy it because they want to rent it. You know, even rentals, and I'm not saying this to make any justification because our objective is to sell this to home owners, but even rentals at the price point of these are going to be affordable for that workforce housing. So, you know, even in the event that it doesn't work the way we're trying to make it work, we believe we're still going to fill a need that this community needs, and that is an attainable price housing, whether it's rental or sales. Our objective is to sell it to people so that they can get their start.
Well, I would imagine people who are looking for this type of house are not investors.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, they wouldn't be in this situation, I would imagine.
Exactly. And like I said, that's why we worked with Shauna, or working with Shauna, and we're looking forward to that partnership to move forward into this project.
Okay, great, thank you.
Any more questions? Mr. I do have one question. On the project across the street, the Gateway Commons, you called it, did we do a zoning change on that or not?
No, we didn't. Multifamily housing is allowable in the commercial zone district, okay? The reason we're doing the rezone is because we want to put single-family homes on this one. We actually went through meetings with the county discussing this option. We're very creative, in fact, in coming up with some form of a multifamily by creating one wall that connected two houses that might be an archway to a backyard or something and say, okay, now it's multifamily. Mr. Haldeman was rather adamant that he wanted to see single-family homes built on this project. You know, the project next door with the duplexes, selling them as half-plexes, it's a great concept. This is kind of one step above that. You know, you don't have an adjoining wall to your neighbor. You actually have your own space, your own yard, your own everything. And it was his desire, and it's costing him considerably more money and time to get this project approved because of that. But that was his decision, that he just said, no, I want to build single-family homes. What do we have to do it?
Okay. Okay, well, thank you. Then maybe one more question. I noticed that there's a restriction, I guess, in the use permit that requires a 5-foot metal fence adjacent to, under the eaves of the house. But the lot lines are 3 feet. Is that correct?
Yes, well, that basically
So-
means that those fences are all
Huh?
gonna have to be fireproof fences. Our fireproof fence, I don't know that Bennett had it on the detail, but basically it is a chain link fence with aluminum slats in it, so it's a semi-private fence. And that restriction was born out of the approval of the last project. One of the planning commissioners, who's no longer here, at the time, because of the campfire that had happened just previously, said, you know what, we need to do something to make sure that the fences don't light the houses on fire. And that's where that restriction came from. We agreed to it on the last project, and we just implement it in this one.
And so the fence in between the houses, is that going to be a metal fence then?
It will be a chain link fence with aluminum slats, yes.
Okay. Thank you. That answers my question.
Yes.
Is that it? Okay, well, at this time, we'll give you a little break and see if there's any public comment. And then if we have some and have some questions, we'll invite you back.
Thank you very much.
Okay, any public comment from, I'll open that up to public comment. Anybody in the audience who would like to comment on this project? Quiet bunch today, huh? Is there anybody online? Nobody. Okay, so any more questions or discussion, or what do you want to do, folks?
I guess my discussion, I like the project. I like that it's being built in this location. I also like the Commons project, so I would go ahead and, could you put the motions on it? So I think the first one is to recommend to the Board of Supervisors the adoption of the mitigated negative declaration and mitigation monitoring program prepared for the project.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
I have a first from Commissioner Hauge and a second from Commissioner Powers. Commissioner Powers,
Aye.
Commissioner Hauge,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Woodward,
Yes.
Commissioner DiMattei,
Yes.
Commissioner Dahlgren.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you, folks.
Well, we have more.
More.
We have a
More.
bunch of
Oh,
motions.
There's
A
3
whole
more.
bunch more.
Yeah,
I would like
I
to.
got carried away, sorry about that.
I would like to recommend to the Board of Supervisors that they approve a rezone to add the TC combining district zoning designation to the site.
Second.
They have a motion and a second.
I have a first from Commissioner Hauge and a second from Commissioner Powers. Commissioner Powers,
Aye.
Commissioner Hauge,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Woodward,
Yes.
Commissioner DiMattei,
Yes.
Commissioner Dahlgren.
Yes.
Thank you.
And if I could, before we go to the third and fourth items, the third and fourth items would both, staff is recommending they would both be subject to the recommended conditions of approval and the errata provided by staff.
All right, so I'd like to recommend that the Board of Supervisors approve the tentative subdivision map to allow for the subdivision of 2.94 acres on into a 27 lot detached residential development, including the recommended conditions of approval that we received. What was the other thing?
And the errata.
And the errata.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
First from Commissioner Hauge and a second from Commissioner Powers. Commissioner Powers,
Aye.
Commissioner Hauge,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Woodward,
Yes.
Commissioner DiMattei,
Yes.
Commissioner Dahlgren.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, and I think this is the last motion, so I'd like to recommend to the board that they approve the conditional use permit for a detached single-family residential development within the TC combining zoning district, including the errata and recommended conditions of approval.
Second.
Motion and a second.
I have a first from Commissioner Hauge and a second from Commissioner Powers. Commissioner Powers,
Aye.
Commissioner Hauge,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Woodward,
Yes.
Commissioner DiMattei,
Yes.
Commissioner Dahlgren.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, this isn't even appealable because it's going to go to the Board of Supervisors, so. So thank you, folks.
Thank you.
And we'll see you down the road sometime, huh? Okay. Okay, we're moving on to our second timed item. And this one is a use permit and tentative map for the Riolo Vineyard specific plan. Phase 3, I guess we're up to here. And so for this one, let me see, we have Nick. Nick is going to make the presentation to us.
Good morning, Commissioners. Nick Trefero with the Planning Services Division. The item I have before you today is the Silver Sage Subdivision, which is a Phase 3 project under the Riolo Vineyard specific plan. I'll just start with an overview of the specific plan. It's located in the southwest portion of Placer County within the Dry Creek West Placer Community Plan area. This map shows you the Silver Sage property in relation to the specific plan in the Dry Creek Community Plan area. As you can see, the plan area is located north of PFE Road between Watt Avenue and Willerga, and Dry Creek forms the northern boundary. The Silver Sage properties zone Riolo Vineyard specific plan, similar to most of the other properties in the specific plan area. And the specific plan covers a total of 525 acres, ultimate development of 933 residential units over various phases. Also includes open space, recreational, agricultural, and commercial uses. It was approved back in 2009, subsequently amended in 2015 to address land use and zoning modifications. The plan went through a comprehensive environmental review process, which included certifying an EIR and an addendum later to address the updated specific plan. Also, water, sewer, and drainage master plans were prepared for the specific plan. Since 2009, there's been 3 subdivisions that have been approved and are under construction. Mariposa is near completion with 107 single-family residential lots, and many of those lots have since been sold. Glen Willow will have 177 lots, and Mason Trails will have 170 lots. The Friswold subdivision is another subdivision that's currently in staff review, and it's located just to the southwest of the Silver Sage subdivision, and that will have 118 total residential lots. So development under the specific plan is occurring through several phases in an east to west direction. Mariposa was the first phase, and then Glen Willow followed phase 2, and then Silver Sage will be phase 3. Other phases included Mason Trails and Friswold. So there's 2 entitlements associated with the Silver Sage project, tentative map and administrative modification. The tentative map encompasses 113.9 acres and will include 163 low-density residential lots. Also include 117 medium-density residential lots, and they range in size from 2,200 to 5,500 square feet. On-site amenities include 2 neighborhood parks, an agricultural lot located north of the proposed residential development, which would allow row crops or grazing and would be owned and maintained by the HOA. There's also an open space lot and a wetland preserve lot located to the northeast of the property. The 2 points of access on the property would be off of PFE Road on C and G streets. So this map just provides you with a more detailed view of the location of the different land uses. As you can see, the medium density residential is located along PFE Road frontage and east of the future Friswold subdivision. The low density residential is located just behind that, and then the parks are located in the western and central portions of the property. The agricultural lot is located north of the residential development, and then the open space lot surrounds the agricultural lot. And of course, the wetland preserve, as you can see, is over to the eastern portion of the property. So the administrative modification includes 3 different changes. The first one being a density adjustment, resulting in an increase of medium density residential lots by 15 units. That will be accomplished by an internal transfer. 2 medium density units from the Friswold subdivision will go to Silver Sage. Also, 5 of the low density residential lots will be converted to medium density. And there will be a transfer of 8 medium-density lots from the specific plan density reserve. Just a background on the density reserve was created back in 2015 when specific plan was updated. There was a high-density residential lot you could see on the southwest corner there in pink. That was changed over to commercial. So when that went away, there was 47 units. There was a reduction in 47 units from the specific plan build out. So that's allowing that to happen now. So the second change is the relocation of Park II. It was originally located on the eastern portion of the property. Now it'll be on the center of the property. And that's to accommodate the additional units that have been added. And lastly, adding a second road connection to Friswold to the south to improve circulation between the two subdivisions. This slide just shows you the two detailed view of the two neighborhood parks. You can see Park 1 from the west side of the property. It's approximately 1 acre. It'll include a pedestrian path linkage to a Class 1 trail that ultimately goes to Dry Creek to the north. Park 2 is approximately 2 acres. It'll include a basketball court, open turf play area, and top play area. It also includes a path providing connection leading to Dry Creek. And this just shows the Class 1 trail over on the west side of the property that connects to the trail along Dry Creek. There's also going to be a trail connection to Park III located in the Glen Wills subdivision over to the east. I don't know if you could see it, but it's in this area right here. It should be showing up as circle in red. I don't see it on the slide, but okay, there it is. And then here's the fencing plan for the subdivision. So along PFE Road, there will be community wall fencing, which is basically a CMU brick wall with stone veneer, similar to what's been constructed for the adjacent subdivisions. There will be open view fencing for the residential lots facing the open space, which is basically your typical black wrought iron fencing. Then the open space areas will have the standard post and cable fencing. And then lastly, the agricultural fencing would consist of a 3-rail wooden fence. There they are. Sorry about that. I was wondering where they're coming from. Okay. So you can see the different fencing types here. Okay, with regards to CEQA compliance, the project is considered consistent with the previously certified Real Vineyard Specific Plan Final EAR and Addendum. It meets the criteria in Public Resources Code Section 21083.3 and none of the conditions in the CEQA Guidelines Section 15162 through 15164, which would require the preparation of additional environmental documentation, would apply. In terms of public outreach, the project was presented to the West Placer MAC on May 8, 2019 as an informational item. At that meeting, concerns were expressed regarding accommodating equestrian use on the trails and available options for managing the ag and open space. We went back to the MAC on November 13, 2019 as an action item. No concerns were raised at that meeting. The MAC voted 4-0 with 1 absent to recommend Planning Commission take action to approve the project. Since the applicant came forward with the administrative modification afterwards, staff presented the project once again to the MAC on May 18th of this year. And again, the MAC voted 4-0 with 1 absent to recommend that the Planning Commission take action to approve the project. So therefore, with that, staff recommends the Planning Commission take the following actions. The first action is determine the potential impacts of the proposed vesting tentative subdivision map, which is part of the Riola Vineyard Specific Plan, are within the scope of the analysis of the Riola Vineyard Specific Plan Final EAR, an amended 2015 Mitigation Monitoring and Reporting Program. The second recommended action is approving the Silver Sage vesting tentative subdivision map consisting of 280 lots, including 163 low-density residential lots and 117 medium-density residential lots. In addition, the vesting tentative subdivision map would create 1 agricultural lot, 2 neighborhood parks, 3 open space lots, 1 wetland preserve lot, 3 landscape corridor lots, a cemetery lot, and 2 remainder lots to be developed with the future Friswold subdivision within the previously approved Rio Vineyard specific plan area, subject to the conditions of approval found in attachment D to the staff report. And lastly, approve the Rio Vineyard Silver Sage property administrative modification to increase the medium density residential lots by 15 units, relocate one of the parks, Park II, to the central portion of the property, and add a second road connection to the proposed future Friswold development as described in the staff report. All of the above are subject to the findings contained in the staff report. So with that, I'm available to answer any questions.
Any questions? Okay,
All right. Thank you.
we'll let you off the hook early here. Maybe bring you back, though. Okay, is the applicant here? Would the applicant like to make comments? No comments? Okay. Well, then I'll open it up to the public comment period. And so is there anybody in the audience that wants to make a public comment? Still a quiet crew. Let me see, how about online? Okay. Well, Nick, I do have maybe one question. Bring you back up. And I'm just relying on my memory here, but I remember that there was at one time, going to be a road that connected this project with the projects to the east. And now is that just a trail, or what are we doing there?
You're probably, imagine you're referring to the old, prior to the 2015 update, the specific plan. I know that originally the roadway was actually on the perimeter along Dry Creek Trail. So there was a road connecting all of the subdivisions. So it's and I could go back to the slide of the specific plan. So when the specific plan was updated back in 2015, that just basically went away. Okay. So there was a roadway, I believe the main connection, the roadway was above the northern boundary. So that was all redone with the 2015 update. So really there's, as far as connections to the adjacent subdivisions, there's just a pedestrian connection to Glen Willow over to the east. And then there's connections to Friswold, which will be over to the southwest. And then really it's the main connection will be PFE Road to access all the other, to Mason Trails and Mariposa.
Okay, so that was all changed the last time we considered the specific plan?
It was, right.
Okay. Okay, well, that does it for me. Anybody else? Okay, well, I'll bring it back to the commission for any discussion or any actions that the commission would like to take.
And for purposes of these recommendations, items 2 and 3, hopefully I can save you some time. That would just be approve the map subject to the conditions and findings, and approve the administrative modifications subject to the findings. So you don't need to reiterate all of those.
I'm ready to make a motion. I move that we determine the potential impacts of the proposed vesting tentative subdivision map, which is part of the Rio Vineyard specific plan, are within the scope of the analysis of the RVSP FEIR and amended 2015 mitigation monitoring and reporting program.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
I have a first from Commissioner Woodward, second from Commissioner DiMattei. Commissioner Powers?
Aye.
Commissioner Hauge,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes?
Commissioner Woodward,
Yes.
Commissioner DiMattei,
Yes.
Commissioner Dahlgren.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I ask that council repeat what he just said.
For the second item, it would be a motion to approve the Silver Sage vesting tentative subdivision map, subject to the conditions of approval and findings in the staff report.
Okay, I think I got it. So, I move that we approve subdivision map, subject to
The findings.
the findings
In the staff report and the conditions of approval.
in the staff report and the conditions of approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
I have a first from Commissioner Woodward, second from Commissioner DiMattei, Commissioner Powers,
Aye.
Commissioner Hauge,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes?
Commissioner Woodward,
Yes.
Commissioner DiMattei,
Yes.
Commissioner Dahlgren.
Yes.
Thank you.
And the last one would be to approve the administrative modification, subject to the findings in the staff report.
So I move that we approve the administrative modification subject to the findings in the staff report.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
First from Commissioner Woodward, second from Commissioner DiMattei, Commissioner Powers,
Aye.
Commissioner Hauge,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes?
Commissioner Woodward,
Yes.
Commissioner DiMattei,
Yes.
Commissioner Dahlgren.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, well, this decision would be appealable by anybody that, nobody really commented in the audience, but if somebody wrote a letter about this, and they would have the ability to appeal it for $641 and appeal it to the Board of Supervisors within 10 days. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to our next item, which is Placer Ranch. And this is a proposal within the Sunset Area Plan that was approved before. And Christopher Smith is going to do the presentation here. Christopher, go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman Johnson and Commissioners. Chris Schmidt with the Planning Services Division. Bringing forward to you today the first phase of the Placer Ranch Specific Plan project. So the subject site is on the southern border of the Placer Ranch Specific Plan area, which is immediately north of the city of Roseville, east of Highway 65 in West Placer County. In 2019, the commission and board reviewed and approved the Placer Ranch Specific Plan, a 2,200 acre project consisting of over 5,600 residential units, about 300,000 square feet of commercial space, 600,000 square feet of mixed use space, mostly in the town center area here. Campus park development of 4.5 million square feet of space, which is this area, going to be office and research and development projects. 300 acre university site at the center of Placer Ranch Plan, nearly 70 acres of parks, 265 acres of open space, and also the future Placer Parkway borders the northern portion of the area plan, and that's about 158 acres. So this is the first phase of Placer Ranch. It's 193 acres immediately north of the city of Roseville here, so all developed with residential single family. This is the existing Finneman Road. The landfill here is about 4,000 feet north of the site, and this is considered phase 1A. The whole plan area is going to be developed by phase. 1B and 1C would be to the east, and those are upcoming. And then as the market dictates, development will happen throughout the project area. So just want to mention this, these first residential neighborhoods are south of the future Sac State campus that is undergoing master planning by Sac State. They also are doing their own EIR. That's 301 acres. This is a conceptual plan of what they're looking at, a lot of open space. Eventually 30,000 students would be accommodated on site with 3 million square feet of building space. So the project site you see here, currently vacant, mostly grassland has been grazed in the recent past. This tree line you see here, this is the city of Roseville to the south. This is the landfill to the north. Same thing, city of Roseville here. This is Fittiment. So this is looking south towards Roseville. This is looking towards Lincoln. 65 would be here. So the proposed project is made up of 7 villages and 769 residential units. The lot sizes are approximately 4,700 square feet to a little over 18,000 square feet. Includes a little over 14 acres of open space. There's a drainage over here. A 4-acre neighborhood park, and then 3 neighborhood pocket parks throughout the villages. So 2 entitlements are being requested, a vesting phase small lot tentative subdivision map to subdivide the site into 769 single-family residential lots, and also an administrative modification of residential unit transfer to transfer 14 residential units between specific plan parcels. So when the Placer Ranch specific plan was approved, it was designed to be flexible. So a future developer or applicant can request to transfer residential units between the large lot parcels. So each large lot parcel is designated a density or commercial space. So you can transfer between like designated sites, so low density to low density, medium to medium. So what they're asking to do is transfer 14 lots from a parcel near the town center to the Phase 1A project site. So normally, the planning director can approve that if there's not a more than 20% change or an increase or decrease in the unit count on a parcel. The proposal here is a 21% change on one of the large lot parcels, so the planning commission has to approve that transfer. And here's that parcel, large lot parcel 15, it's reduced by 22% because this is the village that has the largest proposed lots. Therefore, the planning commission needs to approve this. And here's the transferring parcel. Large lot 24 is declining by 14 units. So everything here is low density residential. Here's the transferring parcel, also low density residential. So development standards for the specific plan were established with the adoption of the plan. So we have development standards and design guidelines what this project would comply with. Various lot sizes proposed, ranging from basically east to west, small lots to larger lots. So 4,900 square feet on the east, 7,200 square feet on the west. So this project's about 4 units an acre. The low density residential development standards in the plan, that density range is 1 to 7 units per acre. So we're about midway in what's allowed here. So these are development standards established in the specific plan this project will comply with. Just an overview of the proposed parks. This is the large neighborhood park. It would be required to be constructed no later than 18 months after the start of construction of this residential phase. It'll include a ball field, a soccer play field, a clubhouse, some basketball courts, pickleball courts. So this is conceptual, but this is the look they're going for and the amenities being proposed. The pocket park in Village 1 is a little under an acre. You can see here the location in the Village 1 and a couple pictures of what's anticipated for this park site. The pocket park in Village 2 and 3 here, a little over a half acre. And then in Village 7 on the east, 0.64 acres. So this project has been designed in compliance with the master plan for Placer Ranch to be very pedestrian and bike-oriented. So surrounding the university will be a 12-foot paved path, a shared use path in that open space area. All the road corridors will have 10-foot paved sidewalk. And then on-street, a class 2 on-street bike lanes on the major roads. So pedestrian connectivity has been designed into the overall layout. Along that open space area, there's 3 cul-de-sacs. There'll be view corridors into the open space, so not homes backing up to that for the most part, but there'll be pedestrian connections out to that proposed trail. Internal to the project, there'll be pedestrian pathways connecting some of the neighborhoods. On the east end of the site, there's 3 cul-de-sacs that will also open up to the main roads, so you can view into the neighborhoods, and also pedestrian connections out to Sunset Boulevard here from the neighborhoods. So the project, he has a substantial, or prepared a pretty robust landscape plan for the road corridors. Has proposed a series of various types of fencing and walls throughout the project site. And also in compliance with the area plan, they're proposing gateways. So this would be the main entryway northbound out of Roseville into the Placer Ranch site. So some decorative pillars. There'll also be secondary gateways and 3 locations in the project area. And then community monuments mostly at the entrances into individual neighborhoods. So habitat on site is mostly grassland. It's a vernal pool complex. So there is 5.5 acres of wet area, vernal pools and wetlands, and about 3.5 acres of that would be disturbed by the project. This may be a first for me that there's no trees being removed from a project site. Just want to point that out. So the Placer Ranch specific plan build out, it was anticipated to generate about 216,000 daily trips, including 13,000 AM peak hour trips and 17,000 PM peak hour trips. This was deemed to be significant and unavoidable VMT, and that holds today. But we did have a traffic analysis done due to the shifting of those 14 units to just make sure that this didn't mess up anything that was found in the EIR. So it was a consistency assessment. So based on the small configurations that are changed, some roadway alignments, and maybe some pocket depth changes, and the unit transfers, they weren't considered consequential to that, the study that was done as part of the Sunset Area Plan traffic impact analysis. The homes are being built on fairly busy roads that are proposed, so there will be sound walls, as you see here in red. A whole bunch of backbone infrastructure required. So Sunset Boulevard will be extended eastward or westward from existing terminus at Sunset and Foothills. This is that sharp turn you make to head up towards Athens. College Park Drive is a new road, so they're building that first segment here. And then Wood Creek Oaks north out of Roseville, this short segment, and then widening of Fittyman here. 9 traffic signals for information. Backbone infrastructure, Wood Creek Oaks Boulevard, it will remain barricaded. This was a concession made by the applicant and city in negotiations with city of Roseville that they didn't want a whole bunch of new traffic coming down or funneled down both Fittyman and Wood Creek Oaks. So the applicant has to widen Foothills Boulevard, which is to the east, and once that widening's done, this would be removed. So that Foothills Boulevard expansion needs to be completed prior to the 1,000th residential building permit. So this first phase will not trigger that. It'll be either 1B or 1C. Water infrastructure will connect to existing water. This is in the Sunset area, also to City of Roseville's water system. We'll also be adding a recycled water system. We'll connect to the City of Roseville's recycled water system, and then it'll serve the parks and also the landscape along the frontages. Sewer that's being installed by the applicant will connect to the City of Roseville. It'll connect to a trunk line along Pleasant Grove Creek and then heads west towards the Pleasant Grove wastewater treatment plant in the City of Roseville. The applicant is also doing the backbone infrastructure for regional sewer in the Sunset area. So that'll connect basically the casino along Athens, southerly along Foothill through Placer Ranch to connect to the City of Roseville. So it's a multi-million-dollar project, and this county is funding $28 million of that sewer work through HARPA funds, which is federal money. Eventually, extending from City of Rockland will be a major water line to supplement the water service out in this area. Fire service is provided by an existing fire station next to the casino. The project applicant is required to dedicate a future fire station site, and that's on the west side of the university campus along Fittyman. So no schools proposed within this first phase, but there is an elementary and middle school in later phases. And then high school students will attend Roseville High School districts, either Roseville, Wood Creek, or West Park High Schools. And then, of course, you've got the university at the center of the master plan area. So this project has a substantial development agreement with a whole bunch of mitigation fees, mostly for transportation. And also includes stormwater, community recreation, economic incentives, Placer Parkway fees, Highway 65 fees, you name it, they're paying it. As part of the area plan adoption, the county did reduce the required residential buffer surrounding the landfill to 2,000 feet. But if there's residential development within a mile of the landfill, there is a disclosure required that you're buying a property near the landfill. Developer is also required to pay a fair share fee. They will help fund odor reduction measures at the landfill. And this shows that 2,000-foot buffer, and you can see the specific plan, all the residential development proposed is outside of that 2,000 feet. The specific plan does have affordable housing requirements, and you can see them here. Not required to build in this first phase, but as the project progresses, they do have milestones that they need to meet as far as affordability, homes actually built. So the Placer Ranch plan did undergo an EIR, so project level environmental review was done, and that EIR was certified in December of 2019. Balance of the Sunset area was at a programmatic level. The ranch was at a project level. So all the recommended feasible mitigation measures previously adopted have been included as conditions of approval for this project. And with that, county staff recommends that you determine the proposed project consisting of the specific plan modification and investing phase small lot tentative map is exempt from CEQA pursuant to CEQA guidelines sections 15182 and 15183 on the basis that is consistent with the previously adopted Sunset Area Plan, Placer Ranch specific plan, final EIR and mitigation monitoring reporting program. Also approve the Placer Ranch Phase 1A vested phase small lot tentative subdivision map subject to the conditions of approval contained in attachment 1 of the staff report, and also approve the Placer Ranch Phase 1A specific plan administrative modification for the residential unit transfer 14 units from LDR parcel PR 24 to the Phase 1A small lot tentative map parcels. And these are subject to the findings contained in the staff report. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Good.
Good day, members of the commission. Anton Garcia with Taylor Builders, the applicant. First of all, I want to thank for your time, for your consideration of this project. We are very excited to endeavor this project with the county. This morning as I was drinking coffee, I wanted to confirm the date that we purchased the property. It was August 16th of last year. So no small feat to get here, and tremendous amount of support from the county staff to not only get here with this map, but a slew of items that I'll mention here in a bit, just to show the level of momentum we're pushing to get this project forward. One of the things I do want to mention as far as Sac State, we are working with their chancellor's office and their design team on all the infrastructure needed to support our backbone improvements that ultimately support theirs. They're working on their EIR right now. I think the earliest they'll be looking to maybe get their first phase will be 2024, 2025 timeframe. So a lot of coordination going on with their group. We are also, as I mentioned, we have our Phase 1A project, but there's so many different ancillary items to not only support this, but the balance of the project. Just to kind of name a few, we're at risk on our grading plans right now. We're on our third submittal with the county for Phase 1A. Our plan, assuming we do receive your approval, is to break ground this September to be able to grade the project by the end of the year. We'll see how far we can get.
and then be able to start the backbone improvements next year. Part of that would be the ARPA, as Mr. Chris Schmidt has mentioned, would not only serve Placer Ranch, but Sunset and then all the way up to Athens. And that's a project we'll be taking on maybe the force mains later this year, because most of it is already developed along the city, within the city of Roseville's boundaries. And the balance we would start in spring of next year to complete that and meet the obligations of the county through those funds received from the federal government. Also, we have submitted our Phase 1A backbone plans, which outline Sunset, College Parkway, Fetterman Ranch as well. We're working with the county to get the second submittal in. We've also submitted 3 of the in-tract improvement plans, which, as you can see in the staff report, there's 7 villages. So we've submitted 3. We're working on the balance right now that we plan to submit in the next 6 to 8 weeks or so. And then in addition to that, we got 60% preliminary plans for the sewer lift station, which is a 4 million per gallons per day. Not a small, it's an improvement, it's a significant one for the region. So we're moving ahead with that. Also, as Mr. Schmidt had pointed out on Wood Creek, the timing of that is when Foothills gets connected to the city of Roseville through a bridge. It's not part of this map, but we've already started preliminary designs on that as well with a bridge designer and contractor we've worked successfully in the region. We're finishing up our in lieu agreement with the county for the offsite mitigation parcel that we purchased. That will ultimately offset some of the PCCP fees, and we'll be paying the land conversion fees prior to breaking ground. We are about a week or so out from receiving our first administrative draft of the Nexus study for the fee program that we'll be looking to establish here. And we've submitted the quantities for what the CFD services to be able to serve all the various public improvements here that will ultimately serve the community. I'm sure I'm missing a couple of things here, but we're working with PCWA. We have a test well program that's been approved. There's multiple test wells that we're going to implement here over the next few months. From there, we'll work with PCWA on establishing the actual domestic wells from the results of those. And we're working with the city of Roseville on an off-site retention basin that will not only serve Placer Ranch, but as we collectively work with the county and the city, we'll also be able to support some, if not most, of Sunset. Those are things that we're still figuring out right now in the technical component. All those things, as I mentioned, is significant. No small feat to get here in less than a year. And I do want to thank staff, Mr. Chris Schmidt, on everything they've done, and Michelle's Kingsbury. It's a tremendous amount of coordination that goes into this on an everyday basis to get where we are today. The emails flying back and forth every day is pretty remarkable. So I do want to thank everyone for their support. We are in agreement with the draft conditions that you have in the staff report. With me today, I have Kate Hart, who's our general counsel, Chris Stewart of Stewart Consulting, Angela Bertello with CBG, Curtis King, Brad Reeve, Andrew Jensen of King Engineering, Jeff Smith, who is our down development manager. I'll make sure I'm not missing anyone. I think I've got everyone. So if either Mr. Schmidt or I can't answer a question, somebody behind me will. So once again, thank you again for your consideration, and we'll patiently wait through your deliberation. Thank you.
Hey there, everyone. Thanks for having this meeting. I live on one of the houses that's kind of that's on the wall there, bordering the whole Phase 1A area. And I noticed, like, if you look over the wall, the ground goes up vertically about, I don't know, 5 to 7 feet, kind of at an angle, and then kind of flattens out. And I guess I'm wondering, how does that work, like, with that area? I'm not educated in this kind of thing. Like, does this mean, like, there'll be, like, houses, like, looking down upon us? And I guess also, like, I'm not asking you to accommodate us, but I feel like we moved here, and then now we're gonna have houses, like, looking, like, right at us according to the blueprints, rather than kind of having, like, a border with, like, some kind of, like, walk area to kind of have a little buffer. So I don't know, if someone could kind of explain that, maybe it'd be a little easier to digest. Hey, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is Chris
Okay,
Schmidt with planning. Not knowing exactly where he lives, it sounds like he might be over here. There is these homes are kind of elevated compared to the Placer Ranch site. So there is a slope area. There's a slope easement that exists behind these lots. The easement is on the Placer Ranch site. That sloped area is going to go away. There will be a retaining wall, so the easement will be extinguished. The engineers might call them up to talk about if there's any disparity between the two sides of the city-county border, if these proposed homes are higher or lower than what exists out there. I'm just not sure.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you, Robert.
Could I ask part two of the question real quick? Can you hear me okay?
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
I guess I'm wondering, like, how close can you live to a dump, like safely? Like, we already live X amount of, so just to tell you where we live, kind of orient your guys selves to where we live off Vignolia Loop. So if you look on the houses there against the wall, we already smelled the dump, I'd say, I don't know, a handful of times a month. It's not all the time, but so I guess, like, how is that going to work with what you guys have being built? Like, I could only imagine it getting worse and worse the closer you get. And from what I see from the plans, like, it seems like you guys are like butting up right against the dump. And I'm not trying to like stop this housing from being built. I'm fine with housing being built, but like, that doesn't seem safe whatsoever. So I don't know, maybe someone could address that too.
So I did touch upon that in the presentation, that the county's buffering standards for the landfill facility, no residential use within 2,000 feet. And that's, this Placer Ranch doesn't propose encroachment into that 2,000 feet. However, they do need to file a disclosure to buyers that, yes, you are buying a home near a landfill that may have odor or operational impacts on your property. There will be a fee collected with each home sale that will go towards odor reduction measures at the landfill. So there is a recognition that more can be done to reduce that odor impact. And he is correct, it is just on certain days. And I believe it's mostly from the compost operation, so there's a musty smell. I live north of the site and can smell it once in a while. So there are proposed changes. There also is the buffering requirement around the landfill. So that was a board decision to reduce that buffer. It was a general plan amendment back in 2019.
Okay. Is that it, Robert?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, well, I guess, Chris, you answered these questions. Anything from the applicant that you'd like to add? I guess we're all done. Okay, I'll bring it back to the commission. I'll close the public comment and bring it back to the commission, and so it's up to the commission now.
Yeah, the landfill dump was one of my concerns because I used to live out there off of Foothills and Misty Wood and significantly further from where these people live now, and you could smell it on a good day. So I don't know, maybe I would recommend if some of the houses would be further away from the dump and maybe the recreational and parks and stuff could be along that corridor, along, was it Parkway? Along the Parkway there. Just my suggestion, because I did live there 15 years ago.
So the Placer Ranch specific plan within that 2,000-foot buffer, it's all commercial. So it's either going to be university use or office research and development. Could be shopping centers, but it's no residential. So the master plan does consider proximity to landfill.
So Placer Parkway, where phase 3 and phase 4 is all commercial property?
Yeah, this whole northern area, this is all commercial inside this red. So this is the nearest single family homes here, there's some over here. But you see, you've got the university site, and this is that research and development space. This is commercial over here. So no residential within the 2,000 feet.
So then the only fees that you said would have to be paid would come from commercial?
From every house that's constructed?
In the project, or within 2,000 feet?
Within the whole Placer Ranch.
Within the whole project?
Yeah.
Okay. That's it, thank you.
Okay, anything else?
If I could just make one quick comment. I'm often critical of developers that fail to do what they say they're gonna do, and they take many, many extensions and things of that nature, and that they're just very slow off the mark. And I also am a bit critical sometimes of county staff, because they tend to facilitate that in my estimation. But, so I need to give credit where credit is due. I think this is really an example, as the applicant pointed out, I think, of a developer that's coming forward and getting the job done quickly, and I give you credit for that. I also give credit to the staff for doing this as well, so thank you for that.
Okay. Are we looking for a motion?
Did they say what the fee was gonna, Chris, did they say what the fee was gonna be per house? Or do you guys have that information yet? What do you think the fee's gonna be?
Michelle says it's in the conditions.
It is, like,
So it's per residential unit of $372 per unit. So it's
Okay.
condition 148D. And then for non-residential use, it's 27 cents per square foot. And it's paid at building permit issuance.
okay, I missed that part. Thank you.
I'm ready to make a motion.
Okay.
Okay. And this is our decision, correct? Okay, so I move that we determine that the proposed project consisting of the specific plan modification and a vesting phase small lot tentative subdivision map is exempt from CEQA pursuant to CEQA guidelines, section 15182 and 15183, on the basis that it is consistent with the previously adopted Sunset Area Plan, Placer Ranch Specific Plan, SAP PRSP, final EIR and mitigation monitoring and reporting program.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
I have a first from Commissioner Woodward, a second from Commissioner DiMattei. Commissioner Powers?
Aye.
Commissioner Hauge?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Woodward?
Yes.
Commissioner DiMattei?
Yes.
Commissioner Dahlgren?
Yes.
Thank you.
I move that we approve the Placer Ranch Phase 1A vesting phase small lot tentative subdivision map, subject to the conditions of approval contained in attachment 1 of the staff report packet.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
I have a first from Commissioner Woodward, second Commissioner DiMattei. Commissioner Powers?
Aye.
Commissioner Hauge?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Woodward?
Yes.
Commissioner DiMattei?
Yes.
Commissioner Dahlgren?
Yes.
Thank you.
And finally, I move that we approve the Placer Ranch Phase 1A specific plan administrative modification, parentheses, residential unit transfer, to transfer 14 units from LDR parcel PR-24 to the Phase 1A SLTM parcels.
Second.
Okay, this is subject to the
Yeah, thank you.
staff report.
Right.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
The first from Commissioner Woodward, second from Commissioner DiMattei. Commissioner Powers?
Aye.
Commissioner Hauge?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Woodward?
Yes.
Commissioner DiMattei?
Yes.
Commissioner Dahlgren?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you, folks. And now we'll move on to our, we have an opportunity to appeal. And anybody that commented on this project has the opportunity, cost $641, and they have to do it within 10 days, so. Okay, so at this time, we'll move on to Tahoe. And for this presentation, we have Janie. Is everybody okay? Do we need to take a little break or not?
Good.
Good?
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Janie Balvin. I'm an associate planner with the Planning Services Division in Tahoe City. I'm here to present to you the Alpine View Estates Conditional Use Permit Modification and Design Review Agreement. I will first walk you through the previously approved project details and status before moving on to the proposed modifications requested by the applicant, highlights of the analysis of the modified project, and then a recommendation for you. So to quickly orient you to the location of the project, it's in Tahoe Vista along the north shore of Lake Tahoe, along North Lake Boulevard at the corner of North Lake Boulevard and Anderson Road. The zoning in this location is currently mixed-use Gateway West, which is part of the North Tahoe West Mixed-Use Village Center Subdistrict in the Placer County Tahoe Basin Area Plan. The blue highlighted area is the project site. In February 2012, the Planning Commission approved a tentative parcel map and conditional use permit for a timeshare project called 6731 Tahoe, which was 20 timeshare units with a pool amenity, a clubhouse with a manager's unit above, as well as 3 workforce housing units with an associated 4-lot map, 1 lot for each unit plus a common area lot. A mitigated negative declaration was prepared in 2012, evaluating potential impacts of the projects for the CEQA review. And through automatic state extensions and county approvals, including the last extension of time in March 2022, the final expiration date is February 2023. I want to walk you through the 2012 site plan to help you understand the modifications that are proposed. North Lake Boulevard runs, vertically on the map here with Anderson Road at the top of the site plan. So there are 2 parcels. 215 Anderson Road is the east parcel here, where there are 3 employee housing units that are detached and subdivided into 3 lots plus a common area lot. Then 6731 North Lake Boulevard is this larger parcel, the west parcel, which is the duplex timeshares, 20 units. Here's the pool here, clubhouse with manager's quarters above. There's a 14 parking space parking lot here that is dedicated to the Tonopalo project across North Lake Boulevard to the south. The on-site circulation runs through the middle of this parcel with a keyhole design at the terminus. So first off, the name of the project is now Alpine View Estates, and I'd like to describe the proposed modifications to the project in terms of the 2 parcels, starting with the west parcel, which contains the timeshares. There is no change in the unit count, although there is an increase in the number of bedrooms of the manager's unit from 2 to 6 bedrooms. And there's no longer a clubhouse and pool proposed, but instead there are bocce courts, horseshoe pits, and a park. Additionally, the lollipop keyhole drive aisle design from the prior approval would be replaced with a hammerhead design in the same general location. For the east parcel, 4 workforce housing units constructed as 1 attached structure, so a 4-plex, is proposed instead of 3 detached structures, 4 units instead of 3 units. Each workforce housing unit in the current proposal is a 3-bedroom unit, each with a 2-car garage instead of a 1-bedroom unit or studio. The workforce housing proposal for the parcel at 215 Anderson Road no longer includes a parcel map or associated planned unit development and will instead remain under common ownership. There's a minor boundary line adjustment proposed for the lot line between the east and west parcels to increase the size of the east parcel to accommodate the 4-plex and associated improvements. So to walk you through the site plan that is proposed, the west parcel has 20 timeshare units. They are duplex structures, so 10 structures with 2 units each. The manager's unit is here, park Bocce and Horseshoes, the Tono Palo parking lot. The on-site circulation is still in the middle of the parcel, and the terminus is this hammerhead. The east parcel has a fourplex workforce housing structure here and parking areas. The project was analyzed for land use and zoning consistency, and an addendum to the adopted mitigated negative declaration was prepared to satisfy the requirements of CEQA. To summarize the analysis, the project complies with the density requirements of the Placer County Tahoe Basin Area Plan Mixed-Use Gateway West Zone District, which is 15 dwelling units per acre for residential units and tourist accommodation uses. Existing uses along North Lake Boulevard and Tahoe Vista include transient lodging and residential development. So the proposed project is consistent with the character of the area. The Tahoe Basin Area Plan encourages tourist-oriented uses in the mixed-use Gateway West zoning. And the project proposes more than the 50% open space as required by timeshare projects. Also, the frontage improvements are proposed as required, including sidewalks and curbs and a new bus stop shelter. In terms of TRPA consistency, the project modifications must also be reviewed and approved by the Tahoe Regional Planning Agency for compliance with their code. The modified project before you today has been reviewed by a TRPA planner, and a conditional plan revision permit was issued in February. The plans and permit have not yet been finalized, but the conditional approval is for 20 tourist accommodation units, which is a TRPA development regulation, a manager's unit at market rate, and an achievable housing fourplex allocated as residential bonus units, another TRPA development regulation, which require the owner to record a deed restriction that limits the units to the approved use and restricts the occupant's household income to achievable housing limits, and further restrict the residences from being used as second homes or vacation rentals. A conditional use permit is required for timeshare projects, and workforce housing requires a minor use permit per the zoning. The minor use permit for residential uses has been incorporated into the conditional use permit required for timeshare projects. Transportation and traffic impacts were originally analyzed in 2012 in terms of level of service. And as you may recall, we're now required to, under CEQA, to analyze for vehicle miles traveled and not level of service. So the MND addendum does just that and demonstrates that the modifications as proposed do not result in any significant unavoidable impacts to traffic and transportation, and all impacts can be mitigated. We have Andy Dyken from the Department of Public Works in Tahoe who can speak to this. If you have any questions, he's online. In terms of biological resources, of the 230 trees on site, an arborist identified 78 trees to be removed to maintain the health of the forested area. 30 additional trees were identified for removal for construction of improvements. Mitigation measures incorporated into the conditions of approval include an inch-for-inch replacement of trees removed, or an in lieu fee, or a combination of those. No other impacts to biological resources were identified. And site disturbance, earthwork cuts, infrastructure improvements, and site grading, combined with the proximity to Lake Tahoe, resulted in several mitigation measures and best management practice conditions to mitigate project soil erosion impacts to less than significant. And again, I have Monica Gramenos online from Engineering and Surveying Division to answer any questions about that. A design review agreement is required for multifamily developments in the Tahoe Basin, and includes the review of building and site design standards such as parking requirements, traffic circulation, grading, lighting, and building design and finishes like colors and materials. The proposed modification has already been presented to the Tahoe Basin Design Review Committee, who provided a recommendation of approval with conditions, which were related to fencing design details, incorporation of design elements into the manager's unit and fourplex to match the timeshares, and limiting the intensity of the exterior lighting. And as such, pending your commission's action today, a design review agreement has been prepared and is ready to be executed. I also have I have to point out here that on page 11 of your staff report package, there's a typo stating that the project went to the design review committee on August 24th, 2022, when in fact it should read August 24th, 2021. I apologize for that mistake. And another note regarding the design review agreement conditions, a representative of the neighborhood to the west provided feedback about the project, and it includes concerns about the fence along their shared property line, which is the western property line. So I'd like to include in my recommendation to you that an additional statement be incorporated into the design review agreement, condition F, which relates to fencing, which states that would state that the finished side of the fence will be constructed facing the neighbor. Here's a rendering, a 3D rendering of the proposed project, looking north from North Lake Boulevard to assist in the visualization of the project. And so finally, I have a recommendation to the Planning Commission to adopt the addendum to the mitigated negative declaration prepared for the Alpine View Estates project and approve the conditional use permit modification, minor boundary line adjustment, and design site review agreement based on the findings and subject to the conditions of approval in the staff report, and amend condition F of the design review agreement to read that the finished side of the fence will face the neighbors, and they have also concerns about their existing fence and that it will remain. And with that, I have time to answer questions if you have any.
Okay, questions?
I have a quick question. Are the new timeshares that they're proposing a part of the Tonopalo?
They are not part, they're separately owned. The parking lot is dedicated to the Tonopalo project through a deed restriction on the property, if I'm not mistaken.
Thank you.
Regarding that Tonopalo parking, now you have two entrances off the Tahoe Boulevard. So is there a reason you can take it off the project roadway so we can reduce the number of entry points onto the road?
The project as proposed today mirrors what was reviewed and approved in 2012. And I know that it was a discussion at that time and that Caltrans was involved to basically sign off on the two encroachments. Why the project proponent doesn't design it differently is, I'm not sure why.
Is this owned by the project proponent, the new parking lot, therefore maintained by the project proponent, or is this going to be owned and maintained by Tonopalo?
The ownership is the same as the Alpine View Estates project owner, but there's a condition of approval that the parking lot be maintained by the Tonopalo.
Okay. All right.
Okay, any more questions?
The recommendation for the fence, is the existing fence will stay and another fence will be put behind it? Or is it gonna
Correct.
come down and property lines are gonna be shifted by 6 inches, or?
I don't think that there's any,
Not that it-
I'm sorry?
No, sorry.
I don't think there's any proposal to move property lines. The location of the fence being on the neighbor's property and their wish for it to remain is why we've included the condition that it will remain. And then the new fence will be constructed just adjacent to it.
Perfect, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, well, we'll give you a break and ask the applicant if he'd like to come forward or speak.
Good morning, Chair Johnson and members of the commission. I'm Jack Padden, and for 41 years I've said I'm a principal at Williams & Padden Architects and Planners, but as of the first of this month, we merged with a larger Southern California firm. So now I'm a senior principal at Williams & Padden 196 Architects, just for the record. First of all, I want to thank everyone involved. There's been numerous departments, everything in the Tahoe Basin appropriately has detailed oversight, as it should. And it's been a couple of years we've been working on this through various portions with not only the county but TRPA, and it's really been, there's been some, of course, tough conversations about certain things, but we've come together. We're fully supportive of the staff report and the conditions of approval. And I want to especially thank Janie, who I'm obviously, with my gray hair near the end of closer to the end of my career. I'm not going to hang my spurs up yet, but Janie's closer to the beginning of her career, and it's been a real pleasure working with a thoughtful and detailed planner. Placer County's in good hands for the future. And also Patrick Taylor, who is my client with Alpine View Estates LLC. The owner is online in Tahoe, and Marissa Fox as well, and they may wish to speak up. We've worked through the minor modifications, which are primarily what has been called the lollipop. It actually wasn't super well thought out. It would require a fair amount of retaining walls, and it didn't work with the North Tahoe Fire Protection District's apparatus turning radius requirements. So we worked with the district to establish the hammerhead turnaround so it would meet all of their requirements. And they've done completed their pre-application review about a year ago. We have also worked with TRPA. We have all of our approvals. We don't have the permit, the permits we're working on now through the paying the various fees and that sort of thing. So that's in order. And then we have submitted at risk improvement plan review through Placer County, and so that is in progress currently. And subject to, if you do approve the project today and the appeal period runs, we expect to be actually starting grading work within a few weeks if everything goes as planned. But I understand your review and approval would come first. We have also the Tahoe Basin Area Plan, which is fairly fresh and new and well written. We've worked through all the appropriate guidelines and really tried to make, the modifications are really intended to make improvements on the 2012 approval, which was before the Tahoe Basin Area Plan approvals. We also have looked, my client, Patrick Taylor, his main focus in the basin is housing, affordable housing, achievable housing. We're doing designing 4 other projects with him right now. So in this project, we look to increase the worker housing or affordable housing, achievable housing in that realm of very needed housing type in the Placer Basin, and that's the manager's unit with the extra bedrooms, increases what you might say the pillow count, and the fourplex on the Anderson parcel increases the unit count in those categories. Maybe one other important factor, the pool and clubhouse, it's a very expensive first cost, a very expensive maintenance cost, and really doesn't get used very much, and part of that's it's a seasonal use. And maybe more importantly, this project has a deeded pedestrian access through Tonopalo to one of the best beaches in Tahoe, very sandy, shallow approach there. So that's the primary amenity and connection to the water. So The amenities, the on-site recreational amenities are a little more informal and passive in nature. I think with that, we just very much appreciate Placer County, all the various departments and staff that have worked with us to get to this point. Again, we're agreeable to the conditions of approval as presented, including the fencing condition that Jeannie presented to you this morning, and we would request your approval. I'm available for any questions, and I think Patrick and Marissa may want to, not sure if they're online yet or not, but anyway, they are on the Zoom session, so they may want to have a word when it's appropriate time. Thank you.
Questions?
I have a question. Mr. Patton. Can you just describe, nice to see you, could you just describe what's going to happen with the manager's unit just one more time for me, please?
Yes, okay, so the manager's unit is primarily for on-site management, but there's also seasonal and permanent workers that would be needed on site, but it could also serve the basin in general in terms of being another type of affordable housing. And actually somewhat consistent with Tahoe Basin housing opportunities for seasonal workers over time, where someone has the ability to rent a bedroom versus an entire apartment. So that's the idea behind the manager's unit. And then, of course, the achievable housing in the fourplex, those could be, a group of individuals, or it could be a family that would be occupying those.
And so the manager's unit is not going to be part of the timeshare sales or anything. That's going to be the office.
Correct.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You said there's a deeded pedestrian access to the beach and the lake through Tonopalo?
Correct.
So the folks that live up there get to use the beach?
Yes, yeah. Everyone that is part of this project would have deeded access, a right of access across Tonopalo. And then maybe also there was the question about the Tonopalo parking. And currently there's two points of ingress egress on Highway 28, and one of which we'll be using for access to the timeshare units, and the other, which is a little bit further to the east than the Tonopalo parking, but basically we are currently there's 2 points of ingress egress off of Highway 28, and so that'll remain 2 points of access.
Thank you.
Okay.
So this whole project is a timeshare project? Is that what I'm understanding? Besides the affordable housing and...
I'll stay up here until there's no more questions, sorry.
Thank you, no, it's all right.
Yeah, no, so the timeshare, there's 20 timeshare units, 10 duplex buildings that equate to 20 timeshare units. And there's the manager's unit, and then there's the fourplex. And neither the manager's unit or the fourplex will be part of that timeshare program.
Thank you.
Okay. That's it? Well, I see Patrick Taylor is on, but I don't know if he wanted to add on to what you said, but he has that opportunity.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I wanted to thank Janie and the rest of the county staff for all the hard work that they put in to do the staff report and help us to get the proper design. Our main purpose for these changes are to provide more workforce housing, which is what our company does. That's our main goal, provide housing around the basin. And if I could have, I would have done more, but TRPA will only issue so many bonus units. So we would have had to have gone back and redesign the whole project. So I did as much as I could to provide as much workforce housing as we possibly could, which is why we enlarged the manager's unit and used as much coverage as we could for that, and changed the small little 1-bedroom cabins that were originally designed in the 2012 approval to the 3-bedroom, 3-bath, 2-car garage units. Because having lived in Lake Tahoe for 33 years, I know that without having a garage in the wintertime, it's not very much fun. So that's the purposes of why we made the changes to the project.
Okay.
And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, well, thank you, Patrick. I don't see anybody asking questions here. Maybe we'll later. I see there's some, I'll open it up to the public comment right now. And I'm not seeing any in the audience, but it looks like there's one on the Zoom. Monica? What's that? Oh, okay. Monica's with the applicant?
She's county staff.
Okay. So, no public, huh?
Uh-oh.
It looks like there might be an issue with Zoom, so we might want to give it a minute for them to load it back up.
Did we take a break?
We can take a break then.
Okay, go ahead and take a break. Yep. 5 minutes.
This is going way faster than I thought it was.
Yeah.
Me too. That's awesome. For sure.
Sometimes the biggest projects go the quickest.
They've been going for.
They've been going for so long and they've got so
Yeah.
much like. Hey, Andrew, do you have another badge that we can use for the restroom? Someone took it. You have a personal one? I'll be right back.
Recording in progress.
Thank you.
You run a fine meeting, Richard.
Oh, yeah. Well, thanks. Okay, we'll restart our meeting. And it sounds like we may have a couple people from Tahoe that would like to comment.
I'm not sure if my previous comment got recorded. I just wanted to, for the record, say that I'm a ESD staff member from Placer County. No
Okay, we
comments,
can
but I'm
hear you.
available for
What's your name,
questions.
please?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Oh, that's Monica? Okay,
Yeah, this is Monica Grumenos from Engineering and Surveying at Placer County.
okay. Okay.
Clayton, go ahead and unmute and begin making your comment.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome, thanks so much. So I just want to share, I'm a local resident here. I live literally just, I don't know, about a block or so away from the proposed development. We're full-time residents, my wife and I, family, big proponents of our area. I just want to share my support in the project. I think it's really going to help with the beautification of our corridor. I think we really need it. I think a lot of people locally are kind of, you know, we're just looking at these chain link fences up all the time, all over the place. And honestly, I think it'll be nice to see some progress in this corridor. It's, in general, I think complementary to the design already happening around the Tahoe Basin. If you look even down towards Agate and some of the other properties that are being developed. You know, and furthermore, it'll be nice to see people actually staying here when they come instead of just driving through on their way to Truckee or to Tahoe City. I think, you know, by having people here locally, I think it's only going to encourage folks to hopefully shop in the commercial core districts of Kings Beach, which we need tremendous support for as well. So it'll be nice to see all this come together. So just sharing my support.
Okay, well, thank you, Clayton.
Ginger, if you could unmute and begin making your comments.
Hi, this is Ginger Carl, Assistant General Manager for Tonopalo Private Residence Club. We just wanted to say that we are in full support of this project and moving forward, and we are thrilled that workforce housing units will be applied in this situation. We absolutely need more workforce housing, and we look forward to this project's completion.
Okay, well, thank you, Ginger.
Dale, if you could unmute and begin making your comments.
Yes, my name is Dale Chamblin. I'm president of the Vista Pines Homeowners Association. We're a 5.6 acre, 8-home development on the west side of subject property. A clarification on the fence. I don't understand why they would build a fence inches away from our existing fence. We kind of assumed that it would replace our existing fence. I think I have a good reason to believe that our fence is on the property line. And we're certainly amenable to having it replaced with their fence. And we appreciate the fact that they've indicated that they will give us the good-looking side of the fence.
It's not me.
I understand the audio is still on live if people are streaming, but at least we can let everybody know that we're working on bringing up the video.
Recording in progress.
Hello.
Okay, you're back on, Dale.
Okay, did you get any of that?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay, did you get my questions?
We received the question on the fencing, but that's where it stopped.
Oh, that's where it stopped, okay. Question number 2 was, at the March 10 Placer County Development Agency meeting, Patrick Taylor, and according to Janie Baldwin, his representative too, both said that despite the fact that this project is listed as a quote timeshare, that their intent was to sell to individual owners. Each unit would be sold to an individual owner. So could we get some clarification on that, please?
Okay, we'll go ahead and ask our staff.
Thank you. So before you today is a timeshare project. And, excuse me.
Okay, Dale, I think we're going to try and answer your question right now.
Okay.
That is the proposed use, and as it's described in the project description, I'm not sure exactly what Mr. Champlin is asking, if it's a question of ownership or use. But the ownership is to remain in common ownership. Timeshares, my understanding is a selling of time to use the structures, and it's a tourist use. They're both residential uses, so the nuance there is very minor. And if there was a proposed change to the use at a future date, that would require a modification of the conditional use permit.
The question though, as a timeshare project, if the owner, the applicant wanted to sell these to individuals, he can do that, right?
They are not individually saleable, so they're not subdivided to be sold separately.
If they sold the whole unit though?
Do you mean all of the time to use the unit?
So, yeah, maybe I can jump in. So my understanding is, this is a timeshare unit. It's one parcel. To be separately sellable, they would have to go through the Subdivision Map Act, and there would be another discretionary process to do that.
Okay. Okay, did you understand that, Dale, or hear about it?
I do and I don't. Again, I'm just relying on the statement made by Patrick Taylor, and as Janie said, confirmed by his representative, was that each individual duplex unit would be sold to one owner. To me, that indicates a far less occupancy, which we're in approval for, than a timeshare. So how can it be both? I don't understand.
Okay, yeah, it's, at least what we're hearing is that this project is timeshares, and they really wouldn't be able to sell them individually unless they go through another process with the planning department.
Okay.
Is that,
all right.
Is that
And
right?
the answer on the fence.
Okay, well, thank you, Dale.
What about the fence?
What do you want?
So staff is recommending, as Janie mentioned, staff is recommending that the finished side of the fence be located next to the neighbor. Maybe we can have the applicant speak to why there would be a second fence instead of replacement of the fence.
Okay.
So absolutely willing to put the finished side or the best side towards the neighbors. And where there's an existing fence, my client wouldn't have the ability to maintain their fence if it's on their property line, and whether they could choose to remove their fence, but this project can only deal with the fence that's on their property. So the homeowners on the west could choose to remove their fence if they like the new fence better. I guess that's maybe my best answer.
Okay.
Can I ask another question?
Yes.
So I think I was confused too, and versus for sale condominiums versus timeshares. But it is a for sale product, but it's just for sale through timeshares, through quarter shares. And maybe that's where Mr. Chamblin is being confused sometimes. It's a misdescription of the wording. It is a for sale product, but it's a for sale product as a timeshare, not as a condominium.
So I'm wondering too, so early on, my client Patrick Taylor considered what his options might be, but it's very clear, so just the way EJ stated it is our understanding. It's a timeshare, it was 2012, it was approved as a timeshare project. We're not asking for any deviation from that. And so if it would take a different specific application and action to do anything different. So it is, we're continuing to ask for a timeshare project approval.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, well, thank you, Dale. Hopefully we answered your questions. Is anybody else online? Okay, with that, then I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission. And
Again, going back to the fence that I had mentioned before, you're gonna put up a new fence next to the existing fence on your property. So now they can take off their fence, gain 3 inches of their land, whatever. But he was under the assumption that at a meeting, you guys were gonna tear the fence down and put a whole new fence up.
Commissioner, if we could just hold on till it looks like
Oh,
Zoom
I'm sorry.
dropped again, so.
I will pause.
And Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a comment too before we go.
We have to wait, sure.
Yeah, I know, before we go to a motion.
I didn't know we were off again.
Recording in progress.
Thank you.
We're back.
Okay, are we good now?
Yeah,
So,
good.
to repeat my question, because they were offline, he was under the impression you were gonna remove the fence, put a new fence up on the property line with the good side facing all of that. But now you're saying you're gonna put the fence only on your property, and then they have the option, obviously, to take that fence down. So that's why I said, well, they're gonna gain 2 inches of land on their side of the property, but not that it's a big deal.
Yeah,
So-
that'd be correct.
You are gonna put the fence up, the remaining fence will stay, so I hope that clears up Mr. Chamberlain's question. Thank you.
I'd just like to say, as I say often, I'm in support of allowing affordable housing and low-income housing in the Tahoe Basin. It's something that my entire life there has been in need of, and so I'm appreciative and in support of this project, and I look forward to seeing more similar to this one.
I would concur with those statements, and with that, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the addendum to the mitigated negative declaration prepared for the Alpine View Estates project.
Second.
we have a motion and a second.
I have a first from Commissioner Hauge, second from Commissioner Powers. Commissioner Powers?
Aye.
Commissioner Hauge?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Woodward?
Yes.
Commissioner DiMattei?
Yes.
Commissioner Dahlgren?
Yes.
Thank you.
And before we move to the second item, I would just suggest or propose that we alter the order of these a little bit. Since the third item would include a modification to the design review agreement, specifically that amendment of condition F, I would suggest that under the second recommendation, we keep all the language as is, but when we reference the design site review agreement, you indicate as modified with condition F. So we're not approving the design site review agreement and then modifying it in a subsequent action, but just approving the modified agreement to start with.
Okay, so recommendation for the motion is to amend condition F of the design review agreement to read that the finished side of the fence will face the neighbors and their existing fence shall remain. Any other language?
So, yes, that's the recommendation for amendment of condition F, but I think you can take the whole second item if you'd like.
Oh,
just noting that the design site review agreement would be as modified with condition F.
Oh, so we can do this in one motion. So let's restate that. Recommend approval of the conditional use permit modification, minor boundary line adjustment, and design site review agreement based on the findings and subject to the conditions of approval of the staff report and includes the amended condition F of the design review agreement.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
I have a first from Commissioner Hauge and a second from Commissioner Powers. Commissioner Powers?
Aye.
Commissioner Hauge?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes?
Commissioner Woodward?
Yes.
Commissioner DiMattei?
Yes.
Commissioner Dahlgren?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you, folks. It would be an appealable decision based on people participating in the meeting today or making comments. And so to appeal, it was going to take 10 days and $641, and then we're done.